Welcome to Pet Pals. I'm Dee Dee and this is Randy, and we are here at Frederick County Animal Control and Pet Adoption Center bringing you some adoptable animals that are in need of new homes. And our first guest is Garfield, and Garfield is a beautiful orange tabby, and he is about 10 years old, and we do know where he came from, but we don't know a lot about his likes and dislikes, which at his age I'm sure he has. So we will encourage anyone who's interested in him to come and hold him, play with some toys, and see what he's like. One of the challenges we have here at the shelter is that, as you all know, we get over 5,000 animals every year, and we do not discriminate against animals who need a new home based on their age. And what I mean by that is that at any age, if they're dropped off here at the shelter and they're healthy and friendly, then we do offer them for adoption. But it is a challenge to find someone who wants to take on a 10-year-old kitty. So we encourage people to think carefully about that for two reasons. Number one, you won't have them as long as you will have a kitten, odds are. Now, obviously, none of us get any guarantees about how long we'll be here or how long our pets will last, but certainly I can understand someone's reluctance to have a pet for a very short time because you get attached. But it can also be an appropriate choice to make if you know that in 10 years you're going to be moving or you have plans to take a job overseas. Then certainly you don't want to take on a pet that's going to live potentially 15 years because you don't know for sure that you can keep care of the pet for the entire time of his life, which we always recommend you try to do because otherwise they end up here. And the other reason is because it is possible, although not inevitable, that he's going to have some medical bills in the next couple of years. He might need to have his teeth cleaned. It's ideal if you get some blood work on senior pets so you can make sure that their organ functions are normal as long as possible. And when and if they start to change, then you can know about it. One of the amazing things we can do for cats as they age is change their diet to prolong their life. So all of those are things your vet can help you with. But Garfield is in need of a second home, and I would think that if you think about how lives of people change over time, there's plenty of times where you have to move into a new situation, you have to move in with new people, you take on a boarder, whatever happens. Well, they're no different. They need to go through some changes to last out their entire life in the company of people. Our next guest is Adelaide. And Adelaide is a beautiful middle-aged black cat with green eyes, quite a pretty little girl. And she is also in need of a second home, and she is more in line with, say, a 50-year-old person. So she has plenty of time left to explore her world, which she definitely wants to do. Randy said she is a go-getter, wants to get down and walk around this whole room. And she is missing part of her front right leg. It doesn't seem to slow her down at all. And often people are puzzled by the animals that we get, may come to us with all kinds of conditions that we never get to find out the full story of. Missing tails, missing legs, one eye. None of these physical changes make a pet any less of a good companion. And Adelaide has something to say about that. So it is something to consider if you are adopting a pet, if it's going to change their mobility at all, which in her case it does not, then you certainly want to make sure that you accommodate that. For example, if you were to take home a tiny blind kitten, then we would sit with you and talk about things you could do, such as putting net up on your stair banisters or things like that. And we've talked in the past about deaf dogs. There are all kinds of things that you can do to accommodate a pet who has different skills or missing skills that you're used to. And in Adelaide's case, I don't even think you would notice that she is missing part of her right front leg. She doesn't seem to notice. Randy's going to show you that she has no disability whatsoever related to her perceived handicap. And she's about 5 or 6 years old, as I said, a middle-aged kitty. And she's going to make someone a great companion. As you can see, she's completely willing and able to jump, so she doesn't have any disability related to her little short leg. So if you are interested in helping out a kitty like Adelaide, you might think that it's harder for her to get adopted, but oddly, sometimes it's easier. We have so many animals here that oftentimes people come in and they're a little overwhelmed about how to choose. So any pet that has something different or memorable helps them to be noticed and actually can help them get adopted. So if you think you know of someone who would be interested in taking Adelaide into their home, then have them come and meet her and see what they think. She is a beautiful, friendly cat, and she is not daunted at all. Our next guest is Mr. Magoo, and Mr. Magoo is between 1 and 2 years old, and he was given up because his family has to have someone move in with them who is allergic to cats. So they're not able to keep him and to help out their family member. He is a beautiful cat with beautiful blue eyes, Siamese in color, and a pretty plush coat too. And one of the things that people often think about the animal shelter is that we don't get very many fancy cats, but of course we do. We get every different kind of cat that there is. One of the things about Siamese and Siamese mixes that is that they're likely to be very vocal. Oh, honey. So if you have a cat that talks a lot, maybe he has some Siamese heritage. It's also hard for them to be here with me talking. They don't know me. They don't know Randy. So we're always asking a lot to have them come into a strange room, sit on a strange person's lap while someone just ignores them, basically, to tell their story. So Randy is very good at comforting them through the whole process. And I also think it helps you to see a little bit of what they're like, how resilient they are. As you can see, he's settling in. He was saying that he wanted to leave, but if that's not an option, he can handle it. And we do our best to bring you as many different animals as we can, even though we know it is a little bit hard for them to do things that people want without explanation. But they're very accommodating, as you can see. And Mr. Magoo is no exception. Our next guest is Bob, and Bob is so named because he has a bobtail, and he is about 1 or 2 years old, a beautiful brown tabby, and he came to us as a stray, so we are looking for a new home for him. And as I always say, a lot of times we don't know their histories, but it doesn't really matter because you can tell by the way that they act that they have known people, that they understand people will care for them. And domesticated cats are like that fine balance between having your own little sample of wild animal, but still having a companion animal that can handle living in a house and being resilient to things like television noises and cooking and other pets. So I think that he's going to make someone very happy despite having lived on his own. And we don't know for how long because he's in great condition. The other thing to think about when you take in a stray is that you know you're getting a smart animal because for them to figure out how to maneuver through town takes brain power. And it means that you can count on that when they are getting used to your home, that they have some skills that they can use to handle tricky situations and new situations and be adaptable. So if you are interested in Bob or one of our other cats, there are a couple ways you can help us. Come and meet him, see if he's right for you, refer to your friends, and you can go on to pettango.com and look for his profile, print that, and post it someplace where people may not know about the shelter or certainly not know about Bob. Our next guest is Rocket. And Rocket is a beautiful gray tabby cat with long hair. He's also got long legs, so he's a considerably sized cat. And for people who like bigger, fluffy cats like Maine Coon type, he might be of interest. But as always, it's his personality that matters. Right now, he's looking out the window and is interested in getting down. And it seems to be this morning that that's been true of most of our kitties. So one of the things that I consider when all of the cats are wanting to get down is that it may not be so much reflective of their personalities as something else. For example, with the change of the season, we see a lot of animals being affected by that because they know that they're preparing for winter as daylight gets shorter and shorter. A lot of people who have animals that live outside, like horses, they get very active this time of year trying to prepare for the season change. So I would say we can't rule out that that's part of it. If all the cats agree that they would like to walk around and explore, and none of them are in a snuggly mood, we do the show the same time every week. So it's unlikely to be about their individual shelter schedule, although that can certainly matter too. For example, when we bring cats to the radio show, if we scoop them up just at feeding time and they've been in the shelter for a while, then they know very well that they're being delayed to get their breakfast. So that can affect how they feel about going on an adventure as well. So this kitty is available for adoption now, as all of our cats on the adoption floor. And we have this time of year over 50 to choose from, and more in foster homes that are coming in as they are ready and as we get space. So if you have been thinking of adopting a cat, now would be a great time to do so, because that helps us out since we have so many. We're going to take a short break, and then we will be back with more adoptable animals at Frederick County Animal Control, and we're actually going to show you a few more cats before we bring on the dogs. Usually we split the show in half between species, but we have so many cats in the shelter, we're going to give them a little opportunity for you to meet them. So we'll be back in a moment, and I hope you join us.
So, I got this new family, and I don't know what it is about this one, but she can't seem to put down that toy. Oh, and she even talks to it. Who's she talking to? Her mom? She talks to her mom a lot.
The most important piece of equipment in your home is your smoke alarm, and it is probably the easiest and cheapest to maintain. Keep your family safe this year with regular smoke alarm checkups. Regularly check the batteries and perform periodic testing. For more information about smoke alarm safety and maintenance, visit the Frederick County Division of Fire and Rescue Services website at frederickcountymd.gov/smoke alarms.
And our next guest is Binkers. Binkers is a beautiful calico cat who's a little scared. And Randy took a lot of time to get her out of her cage, and he had some help because she's really shy. What happened to Binkers is her owner passed away. So she's been through a little bit of a hard time, and she's nervous here. So we're hoping to find her a new quiet home where she can start over and realize that bad things don't have to happen. And it is a hard thing for pets to go through when their environment changes just in being relinquished, but even harder when they know that their caretaker is permanently gone. So not that that means that tugging on your heartstrings is the way that we're going to find her a home, because we never want to do that. We want to find someone who is compatible with Binkers and is interested in keeping her for the rest of her life, and likes her and her personality traits. So it is easy to want to get a pet because you feel sorry for them, and that's not going to last long term. So we want to, even though something sad happened to her, that doesn't mean the rest of her life is going to be sad. And we want her to go forward in a new situation that can cater to her. Randy says you're going to want her because she's beautiful. Doesn't matter what her story is. And because she is very resilient to get through what she's getting through, and she does want to run around in the room, but she is a little shy when you approach her in the cage. So we have a note on her cage that says that, as we do with many of our animals. And when you come in, you can also read her medical history that we have, and her any information that we know about her, we're happy to share with you. So if you think that Binkers would make a nice addition to your family, or to a family that you know of, then you can come in and meet her, send someone to come in and meet her, share her profile from Pet Tango by printing it and hanging it up somewhere, or social networking. And we'll have this video parsed out and available for you to share her segment as well if you choose to do that. It's a great way to show people a little bit about the cats. And again, the best thing to do is come in and meet them, because what they're showing here in A Strange Place on Randy's lap is not all they have to offer, but it's a good little sampling of who they are. Our next guest is Gizmo. And Gizmo has an interesting story. He was left behind in a hotel, and we often get phone calls from landlords, or, well, I shouldn't really say often, but for us, we're getting the 5,000 animals a year that for whatever reason people can't keep, and one of those reasons is loss of home and inability to take the animal along when they have to go to new accommodations. So we do get phone calls from landlords and hotel managers and whatnot when animals are left behind. And I'm glad that they call, because certainly there are other options that are less humane for the animals. We even had a landlord once bring us 2 little goldfish in a cup because a tenant moved out and left them behind. And so we certainly would prefer not to take in exotic animals like that. But if you have no choice, that is what the animal shelter is here for. And we do work with rescue groups and have all kinds of animals that people don't normally think we might have. So if you check out our pettango.com website, you can put in your email and the type of animal you're interested in. And anytime one is made available for adoption fitting that description through Pet Tango, it'll send you an email. So it's a nice way to keep up to date on what's going on in the shelter. And there are always animals in the shelter that you may not see on television or on our website. We had an English bulldog here this week, and he got adopted very quickly. We have a rat in our small animal room. We have some guinea pigs. We have a fantastic rabbit named Molly, who we have several rabbits, but Molly broke her toenail, which is very painful. I know that sounds like, oh, I broke a nail. It's very painful for the bunny. And she was a doll when we tended to it and, made sure it wasn't going to need any emergency treatment or something like that. So Gizmo, as you can see, is quite a wonderful social cat. He has some white whiskers on his beautiful black coat, beautiful golden eyes, and I think he's going to make someone a lovely pet. And as everyone knows by now, my favorite cat is the short-haired black cat, and I'm particularly fond of them for a couple reasons. Number one, research says that they are the least likely to jump from the arms of a stranger, which bodes to their friendliness, or goes to their friendliness, but also because there are so many dark-colored cats, just because it's a dominant color genetically, that we often have them in the shelter, and they're just readily available. So it's usually what I end up with when I adopt, after I check out the personalities. And actually, I have a black cat right now that was a secondhand cat, willed to me. So you never know how your animals will come into your life. And this little kitty will probably make someone very happy very soon. Our next guest is CJ. And CJ's owner tells us that he is a retriever mix. And we can never tell by looking at a dog. In fact, the Canine Research Council has done some studies to see how accurate veterinarians and other animal professionals are when determining the breed of a dog by DNA test. And they found out we're not very good at it. So the best we can do is give an estimate as to what we think the breed might be, but it really doesn't matter because, as I always say, you're going to go by the personality. If you want a dog to be able to go out and about with you, then you want a resilient, people-loving dog that can handle things like umbrellas popping open. In fact, you can help your dog with that at home by practicing those things at a distance where it's safe and offering them treats and rewards for approaching new things. And then once they're very comfortable with new things at home, it makes it easier for them to handle that on the road. He's got a really pretty markings on his face, very pretty face. And as with all of our dogs, we neuter and microchip and vaccinate and give you a coupon for a rabies shot at the vet. And we'll sit down and talk to you before you take them home about house training and crate training and all the things that you might need to do to get your dog ready for a new home. And something to think about when you get a new dog is, so what's the plan? You're going to take this dog home. Let's say your interview was tonight and you take CJ home and you get ready to have dinner or go to sleep. Well, where are you going to put your dog? Some people say, well, he's just going to sleep in our room with us. Well, he doesn't know you yet. So you don't want to wake up to either elimination accidents or maybe table leg chewed. So we recommend using a dog pen or a dog cage. And the way that you can use that appropriately is to put them in the cage 5 times randomly during your first few hours together, even let them eat in there, so that when you put them in there at night, it doesn't mean anything to them that like you're leaving or going to be unavailable. So we'll talk to you about all of that when you decide to take a dog home from the shelter. And if you have experience with it, of course, just let us know, because we love to take ideas from our adopters as well as we like to give them out. He really likes his neck rubbed. This is very sweet. So, and all dogs have their, spot that they like rubbed, whether it be tummy or neck or back. And it will be your job as his caretaker to find that spot. Our next guest is Jitana, and what a sweet little dog. She is a steel gray and white, as you can plainly see, and a little female pit or pit mix. And when we don't have papers on them, like knowing who their parents are and if they're registered, then we say that they're mixed breeds just because we don't know for sure. But she looks very finely bred, and she is beautiful markings on her face and such a sweet little personality. What you couldn't see off camera is that she was really nervous to come across our shiny floor, and you can still see that she's trembling, but with a wagging tail and a willing attitude about meeting new people. Randy just said, is she part Chihuahua? The trembling. So she is very, very sweet. And when she first came in, she went right up to our videographer to make friends. So not sure if it's just the shiny floor or if she also is a little bit worried about meeting strangers. But she certainly has the right attitude for it, with her tail wag and a little paw lift. She's very cute, as you can tell. I'm a little smitten with her. So she is a youngster. She is going to make somebody very happy. And one of the things you have to take care of when you adopt a bully breed or bully breed mix is to make sure that your landlord and your neighborhood and your friends are okay with it, because there's a lot of stereotypes about these dogs which are mostly untrue. For example, their jaws don't lock shut. They don't have any special mechanism for that. And sometimes people say that they have a stronger jaw than other breeds, and in testing that's been done through the military, that's not true either. So, but they are loyal and tenacious, and they're terriers, so when they want something, they can be pretty persistent and stubborn. You can see this beautiful tail wag. So it's important that you understand that there are stereotypes about any big-headed bully breeds, and that you'll have to fight that the whole life of having the dog. And we recommend that anyone who wants to take on one of these dogs make sure that they always put the breed's best foot forward and go to the extra lengths of going to obedience class with your dog and making sure that you serve as an ambassador for the breed to make sure that the things about them that are untrue aren't perpetuated. Our next guest is our sad case. And this will definitely tug on your heartstrings. But again, we want someone who wants a big dog who needs some help to get well. He's not going to be available until we get him to gain a little bit more weight. And his name is Charlie. Obviously, Charlie is a Great Pyrenees. And we're gradually working on removing the mats on him and putting some weight back on him. He definitely needs another bath, but it's an ongoing process to get him back in shape. He came to us very, very thin. And one of our animal control officers is overseeing his case until he is released from our law enforcement arm into our adoption arm, and then he can go into a new home. And as you can see, he needs lots of brushing. A lot of times when dogs have been not getting their full nutrition and exercise and what they need, they don't shed for a while. And then once they get back on good food and clean and dry, oh my gosh, all their coat comes out, which is now happening to Charlie. So he's also probably for his entire life going to shed significantly twice a year, as well as usually drool. And people who have bigger dogs like Newfoundlands and St. Bernards, Bloodhounds, even Great Danes are very accustomed to it. But I would definitely recommend that you think about it carefully, because it's part of a lifestyle, part of a commitment to keep up with his grooming care, because he's not going to be as easy to groom as, say, a Beagle or a Chihuahua that you just brush down with a damp rag. He's going to need brushing, and he's going to need, sometimes people even have them wear a bib so their coat doesn't get splashed with drool. But what people like about these dogs is their gentle, loving nature, and because they're bred to guard sheep and even, in some cases, handle predators in order to protect the sheep, so they're very brave. And they are a very, very popular breed. So I think that we're not going to have trouble finding him a home, but we are going to be careful about making sure that whoever takes him understands that he's been through some hard times and he's going to need some patience and help to get back to his full vigor. Thanks for joining us on Pet Pals this week. As usual, if you've seen an animal that you think would make a good match for you or someone you know, you can help us out by coming in to meet the pet for yourself, referring a friend, sharing their Pet Tango profile either on social networking or by printing it and posting it somewhere new. Or you can go to petfinder.com and look for his video and share that. Or best of all, you can share the link at the bottom of your screen right now on social networking or through email, so that people know to come to Frederick County Animal Control and Pet Adoption Center on Rosemont Avenue to find their new best friend. We'll see you next time.